Creating virtual machine. In this lesson, we will create our first virtual machine and on which we will be installing our CentOS Linux operating system. Well, virtual machine is basically nothing but a shell, a container which holds the information of a machine, CPU, memory, disk, and all the resources. This virtual machine is going to be sharing the resources wherever it is installed. So let's say if it is installed on my laptop, it will be sharing the resources from my laptop. The Oracle Virtual Box. I'm going to open it up. Okay, so this is the window for the Oracle VirtualBox. I'm gonna click on New. The name I will pick is My First Linux VM. And if you notice, the VirtualBox is smart enough to pick the operating system type and version for you. You probably notice that you probably not gonna see the 64-bit. You are probably seeing 32-bit. Now, if you are seeing a 32-bit, then either your computer is a 32-bit architecture or the virtualization technology is not enabled. First, let's find out if my computer is 64 or not. So let's go to Start menu, Computer, and I'm going to click, right click, and go to Properties. Once the property comes up, you will see here, it will tell you if it's Windows 7 PC. And right here, you're going to see where it says system type, it says 64-bit operating system. So that's one way, that's one of the reason that when I'm building my virtual machine, it is coming up 64-bit operating system. The second reason you might not going to see 64 is if you don't have virtual technology enabled in your BIOS setting. If that's the case, I have actually pasted an article in in this lesson, and there is a link to it. I would recommend that you could go to that link and try the settings that are recommended and see if it changes to 64 setting. I'm sure it will work. If not, you could always email me back. So I'm gonna leave these settings here. I'm gonna click next. Now here it's going to ask me the size of the memory I want to assign to this virtual machine. Now by default it's picking up 1 gig of memory. Now you should also keep in mind how much memory do you have actually in your laptop. So in my laptop I have, let's look at my computer again, right click, properties, and you will see here my computer has installed memory is 4 gig. So it is it is wise that I keep the memory below that digit, that number. So I have 4 gig, so I'm gonna give 1 gig of that memory to this virtual machine. And click next. Create a new virtual disk. Yes, it will create a brand new virtual disk. Next, leave the default. Dynamically allocated, leave the default. Click close. Um, then this is the size of the disk. By default, it picks 8 gig. I want to pick 10 gig just to be safe. So I'm gonna just click inside of this box, remove, and type 10. And click create. And there you go. This is my first virtual machine that is created. Again, think of it as a piece of hardware that's been created for me. I'm on the assembly line. I'm putting the CPU, I'm putting the memory, I'm putting the hard disk, I'm putting everything in that machine, and I built that machine. So once the machine is built, what is the next step? Next step is to install the operating system. And in our course, we will be working with CentOS operating system. So I'm going to power this on and I'm going to install the operating system. But of course, before I go ahead and install the operating system, I do need the software ISO image. So in the next lecture, we will cover how we're going to download the ISO software and then how we could attach that software to this Linux VM, and then we will boot off of that software.